The sun peeked through the curtains as Mia Carter stood in front of her tiny mirror, adjusting her navy blue blazer.
Today was the day.
She took a deep breath, smoothing her skirt and checking her watch. 8:15 a.m. If I leave now, I'll have just enough time to make it to the interview, she muttered, grabbing her resume folder. After months of searching, she had finally landed an interview at Anderson Tech, one of the top technology firms in the city. The position? Executive assistant to the CEO. It wasn't her dream job, but it was a foot in the door, an opportunity to build a future. Her heart pounded with a mix of excitement and nerves. She grabbed her bag, rushed out the door, and sprinted toward the subway station. Everything had to go perfectly today. But fate had other plans. As Mia power-walked down the crowded sidewalk, her eyes flicked to her watch. 8:40 a.m. Just a few more blocks. She could make it. Then suddenly a loud groan. Mia turned toward the source of the sound. A man in his early 40s was slumped on a bench, clutching his chest. His dark suit was slightly wrinkled, his tie loosened, and his face was twisted in pain. Her heart clenched. People walked past, throwing him disapproving glances, assuming he was just another homeless man. Mia hesitated. She had an important interview, but what if he was truly in trouble? She exhaled sharply and hurried toward him. "Sir, are you okay?" she asked, kneeling beside him. His breathing was shallow. He tried to speak, but only managed a weak nod. "Stay here. I'll get help." Mia pulled out her phone and dialed 911. Time ticked away. 8:50 a.m. Within minutes, an ambulance arrived. Paramedics rushed to check on the man, asking questions about his condition. Mia stayed with him, offering reassurance. "Do you know your name?" she asked softly. The man blinked, his lips moving as if trying to speak. But before he could answer, the paramedics took over. "You did the right thing," one of them told Mia. "We'll take care of him." She nodded, feeling relief wash over her. Then panic. She glanced at her watch. 9:05 a.m. Her interview had started 5 minutes ago. Her dream opportunity gone. Her chest tightened, but she forced a small smile. "At least he's safe," she whispered, trying to convince herself it was worth it. She turned away, feeling a deep sense of disappointment as she walked toward the subway station. Little did she know, her life was about to change forever. Mia's footsteps were slow and heavy as she walked into her tiny apartment. She tossed her bag onto the couch and collapsed into a chair, staring at the ceiling. She had missed the interview. She had worked so hard, prepared for weeks, and finally gotten the chance of a lifetime, only to let it slip away. Her phone buzzed. A message from Anderson Tech's HR department. "Dear Ms. Carter, we regret to inform you that due to your absence, we have proceeded with other candidates. Thank you for your interest. Anderson Tech Recruitment." Mia's chest tightened. It was official. She sighed, rubbing her temples. Had she made the right decision? Her logical mind screamed that she had been reckless, throwing away her chance. But her heart whispered something different. You helped someone. That has to mean something. Still, how would she pay rent now? She groaned, burying her face in her hands. Little did she know this was not the end. After the meeting, William called Mia into his office. She stepped inside, trying to keep her nerves in check. William leaned against his desk, arms crossed. "I know what happened." Mia's stomach dropped.
He sighed.
"Victoria." Mia bit her lip but said nothing. William smirked. "You're not the first person she's tried to sabotage." Mia's brows furrowed. "Then why do you keep her?" "She's ruthless, but she gets results." His gaze darkened. "That doesn't mean I agree with her methods." Mia hesitated. "Should I be worried?" William studied her. "Let me ask you something. Do you want to quit?" Mia straightened. She had worked too hard to get here. "No," she said firmly. "I don't." William's smirk returned. "Good. Then fight back." Mia blinked.
"What?"
"You impressed the board today. Victoria won't like that. She'll push harder." He leaned forward. "Push back." Mia processed his words. She had never been one for confrontation, but maybe it was time to stand her ground. She met his gaze. I will. William grinned. That's what I wanted to hear. As Mia walked out, a new fire burned inside her. She wasn't just here to survive. She was here to win. Mia sat at her desk, staring at her computer screen, but her mind was elsewhere. William's words echoed in her head. Push back. If Victoria wanted a fight, Mia wouldn't just sit back and take it. She had to be smart. She spent the rest of the day observing the office dynamics. Who did Victoria trust? Who disliked her? Who just followed orders? By the time she left work, she had a plan. The next day, Mia arrived early. She approached James, a senior manager in finance. I need some insight, she said with a polite smile. James blinked in surprise. About Victoria's work. I want to understand how she operates. James hesitated, then lowered his voice. She's brilliant, but she's reckless. She bends rules to get results, and William lets her for now. Mia's mind spun with possibilities. Victoria cut corners. And in the business world, that could be her downfall. A week later, Mia saw her chance. Victoria was leading a project, a high-stakes tech deal. If she succeeded, it would boost her power in the company. But Mia had been watching. She found an error in Victoria's proposal, an overlooked regulation that could cause legal issues. Victoria, always rushing for results, hadn't noticed. Mia took the information to William. Are you sure about this? He asked, raising an eyebrow. She nodded. If this deal goes through as it is, the company could face fines. William read over the details, then smirked. Well, looks like you just saved us from a disaster. Victoria was forced to redo the entire proposal. When she found out Mia had caught her mistake, her rage was undeniable. Mia just smiled. This time, she had won. As the weeks passed, Mia proved herself over and over again. She wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. And William? He started seeing her differently. One evening, they worked late together, reviewing reports. Mia yawned, stretching. This company runs on coffee and stress. William chuckled. You're catching on. She smirked. And yet, I haven't collapsed on a park bench yet. His laugh was genuine. Touché. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Something had changed. Not just respect, something deeper. Mia quickly looked away. I should get back to work. William nodded, but his gaze lingered. Something was happening between them, and neither of them was sure what to do about it. Mia was getting comfortable in her role. She had earned the trust of key people in the company and had even managed to outsmart Victoria once. But Victoria wasn't the type to forgive and forget. One morning, Mia walked into the office and noticed something strange. People were staring at her. Some whispered to each other. Others simply shook their heads. Her stomach dropped. What now? Then her phone buzzed. An email from William. Mia in my office. Now. Her pulse quickened. As she stepped inside, William was standing by his desk, holding a printed email. His face was unreadable. Care to explain this? He asked, handing it to her. Mia read the email, and her blood ran cold. It was an anonymous report accusing her of leaking company information. This is a lie, she said immediately. William nodded. I know, but the board is concerned. Someone wants you out, Mia. Mia clenched her fists. Victoria. What do I do? She asked. William smirked. We proved them wrong. That evening, William invited Mia to dinner to celebrate her victory. They sat at a private rooftop restaurant, overlooking the city lights. You handled that well, William said, taking a sip of wine. Mia smirked. I learned from the best. He chuckled. I didn't expect. Mia twirled her fork in her pasta, her mind swirling with everything that had happened. She had fought back, exposed Victoria's lies, and secured her place in the company. But the thing that unsettled her the most? William's gaze. It was softer tonight. Not the commanding CEO look she had gotten used to. Something else. You haven't taken a bite, he said, watching her closely. She smiled, finally taking a bite. Just thinking. About. She hesitated. How crazy life is. A month ago, I was running late for an interview. Now, I work for one of the most powerful CEOs in the country, dealing with office politics like I'm in some corporate battlefield. William chuckled, and handling it better than most. Their eyes met. Something shifted in the air. For a second, Mia wondered, was this just admiration? Or something more? Before she could dwell on it, William leaned back, breaking the tension. There's something I wanted to ask you, he said. Mia raised an eyebrow. Go on. How would you feel about a promotion? She nearly dropped her fork. What? You've proven yourself. I want you as my chief of staff. Higher position, bigger responsibilities, bigger paycheck. Mia blinked. This was huge. Her heart raced. Was she ready for this? And more importantly, was she ready to stay this close to William? The sun peeked through the curtains as Mia Carter stood in front of her tiny mirror, adjusting her navy blue blazer.
Today was the day.
She took a deep breath, smoothing her skirt and checking her watch. 8:15 a.m. If I leave now, I'll have just enough time to make it to the interview, she muttered, grabbing her resume folder. After months of searching, she had finally landed an interview at Anderson Tech, one of the top technology firms in the city. The position? Executive assistant to the CEO. It wasn't her dream job, but it was a foot in the door, an opportunity to build a future. Her heart pounded with a mix of excitement and nerves. She grabbed her bag, rushed out the door, and sprinted toward the subway station. Everything had to go perfectly today, but fate had other plans. As Mia power-walked down the crowded sidewalk, her eyes flicked to her watch. 8:40 a.m.
Just a few more blocks.
She could make it. Then suddenly a loud groan. Mia turned toward the source of the sound. A man in his early 40s was slumped on a bench, clutching his chest. His dark suit was slightly wrinkled, his tie loosened, and his face was twisted in pain. Her heart clenched. People walked past, throwing him disapproving glances, assuming he was just another homeless man. Mia hesitated. She had an important interview, but what if he was truly in trouble? She exhaled sharply and hurried toward him. Sir, are you okay? She asked, kneeling beside him. His breathing was shallow. He tried to speak, but only managed a weak nod. Stay here. I'll get help. Mia pulled out her phone and dialed 911. Time ticked away. 8:50 a.m. Mia stood frozen, her mind racing. Was this happening? Did William just admit he had feelings for her? Say something, he murmured. Mia swallowed hard. This is unexpected. He smirked. I know. I wasn't expecting it either. A part of her wanted to step back. This was dangerous territory. But another part wanted to take the risk. She smiled softly. Maybe we should take this one step at a time. William's eyes glowed with something she couldn't quite describe. Then let's take that step, he said. And for the first time, Mia realized missing that interview wasn't the worst thing that happened to her.
It was the best.